Hi, welcome to the test cases help for program 5, the roulette wheel. Yes, we're going to model a roulette wheel, just like we were in Monte Carlo or Las Vegas. Anyway, the test cases, as you note, don't look the same as the other test cases, and that's because we don't have a lot of calculations in this program. In fact, hardly any. What we're doing is we are using logic. And there is a lot of logic in figuring out what the winning number is. In addition, later on in the program code, we're also going to use StringStream to create a nicely formatted string. And also we're going to learn how to use pointers and references now that we're experts on functions. So let's start looking at the logic in our program. If we check the spec, it gives us a list of functions that we're going to need to write, and we can talk about those as we go through. And here is our discussion in main about what functions are called. So let's go ahead and follow those directions. I'm going to just write, it's not even real pseudocode, but mostly a flow of the program so that you can follow it and figure out what the winning number is and whether your number is the winning number. Okay, so in main, we're going to start by declaring variables. Okay, so that means all the variables that we're going to be needing for making a bet. There's going to be a bool. I should talk about the roulette wheel a little bit. The way the C++ roulette wheel is set up is that the player has 3 choices. You can bet on a number. That's any number between 0 and 36. And the payoff is 36 times the bet, which makes sense because the odds aren't so good. You can bet on odd or even. The payoff is twice the bet. And you can bet on a dozen. This one breaks up the 36 numbers into first 12, second 12, and the third 12. And you can bet on the first, second, or third dozen, and the payoff is 3 times the bet. The number for 0 does not count for odd or even, but can count as a number bet. Okay, so we're going to declare variables, and these will be variables like number, in case the user chooses a number, bool, and that's going to be an int. We aren't going to have the opportunity to use floating point numbers. A bool for whether it's odd or even, and then a dozen, which will be the first. Well, look at that. The first, second, or third dozen. Okay, what else are we going to need? We're going to need to keep track of the user's money. That's the amount. That's the amount of the bet. You can call it bet if you want. The winnings. We're going to need some strings for, let's see, go again. That's one of my favorites, but you can call it whatever you want. What else? We're going to need a result string. and a file name. And maybe more. If you need more, you'll put them in when you're coding. But these are just some to give you something to think about. Then our instructions say to, let's see, call write header. All right, so that one's pretty straightforward, and we know how that function works. It's a void function, and it just writes the header. And then we have another function called show instructions. And the header is just our class header. Name, program name, and purpose of the program. Show instructions is similar to write header, but it actually tells the user how the program's going to work. If you want, you can copy and paste that from the spec, or you can explain it better. Then we're going to call, let's see, I'm going to add this. Call these functions. How's that? Whoa. Okay, so the next one will be ask for seed. So you're going to call ask for seed returns the value of the seed. Now, if you want to check the values, here that's for a seed of 1, 2, 3. You can use any seed to check your values. It doesn't really matter. Okay, ask for seed, and then we're going to call, then we're going to open a game loop. So we're going to open do while loop for games. All right. Now we're going to call show the money. Show the money is a function. Let's see what it says about show the money. It says ask the user for the amount he'd like to bet and returns that monetary value. Okay, so that returns the bet amount. The next, and that's a pretty straightforward function. It is, it just returns the amount. Okay, the next is, let's see, select a bet. Okay. Now what does select a bet do? It, whoops, that's explained in 2 places. Select a bet asks the user which type of bet he'd like to place, number, odd, even, or dozen, and the function returns 1 for betting a number. Okay, returns 1 for number, 2 for odd, even, and 3 for dozens. Okay, so they don't get the opportunity to bet. You're just going to find out which kind of bet they want. Finally, we come to the make a bet function. And there are actually 3 make a bet functions. And you're going to call, yes, they're overloaded. The overload discussion is really in Module 4 when we started talking about functions. But what overloaded functions are is functions with the same name but with different parameter lists or argument lists, depending on what you like to call them. And in this case, we are going to use those overloaded functions to call by reference. And we'll talk more about that in the discussion of coding the program. But make a bet will get the user's choice. Betting choice. So if the user says they want they returned 1 from select a bet, make a bet will ask the user, for example, for 1, user will be asked for the number, and it will be returned. And I'm putting that in quotes because it's not actually returned, and again we're going to talk about that in the coding. The same for the other two betting choices. So now we just know what the user is betting. The user will bet a number, the user will bet odd or even, or they'll pick 1, 2, or 3 for their dozen. Finally, we're going to call, we better call spin wheel, which returns the winning number. And that's an integer. Now, do I have to call spin wheel after all of this? No. I can call spin wheel anytime after the do while loop is open, but I just call it once for each game. It just so happens in this sequence you call spin the wheel after the make a bet, and finally we call figure winnings. Okay, which is past the parameters that the user bet from make a bet. So figure winnings takes the number, or whether it's odd, even, or which dozen, and checks to see if the winning number corresponds to what the user chose. Okay. We're also going to be writing to StringStream in figure winnings. Again, we're going to do that in our code review, and then we're going to write a file with a summary of all of the users playing. So after figure winnings, we pretty well know if the user has won or not. So we can go through our logic. We can ask for the seed and get a value of the seed, and then get a random number. If you want, you can use these, or you can do it yourself. We can call show the money to get a bet amount, so pick a bet amount. Select number, odd, even, or dozens. Now that one's pretty straightforward. Now make a bet requires a little bit more logic. Let's talk about that some more. In make a bet, we're going to ask the user to enter number 1 for the number. It depends. Sorry. Make a bet will depend on which number was chosen and which version of make a bet is called. If make a bet is just the number, then it asks the user for the number. If make a bet is for odd and even, it asks the user if they want odd or even, and that bet type is bool is returned, odd or even. Okay, and if it's the dozens, the return is the high and low values of the dozens. That's so the calculate winnings will have a couple of numbers to test the winning number and the bet against. Okay. Spin wheel returns an int. Figure winnings passes the parameters. So what does our logic look like there? Okay, the first parameter is selection, which is 1, 2, or 3. If it's 1, you go to a block of code that that compares the number you bet to the number of the spin. Winnings are set as 0 or 36. If the selection is 2, that's betting on odd or even. So check if the winning number or the swimming number is odd or even. Then compare to the user's bet. Finally, if the selection is 3, then check if the user's check if the winning number is within the user's high-low range. Okay, so in all cases, we're going to set winnings to 0, or in this case, I believe they get 2 for each dollar. 2 times bet, and this is actually 36 times the bet. If yes, set winnings to 3 times the bet, and if no, 0.0. Okay, so this is the kind of logic we're going to be doing, and I would hope that you would spend some time thinking about how you're going to implement this. We're going to have a lot of conditional statements and some loops. Okay, so check out the logic for the program, and that will give you your test cases. And I'll see you when you're ready to look at the program coding. Bye.